Hey guys, tonight we drift back to a time before your phone, before your bed, before even the comfort of a roof over your head. You're standing out on a windswept plain, sky stretched wide and pitiless above, and the only thing between you and the cold is your own thin skin and maybe a fur that smells like it's been dead longer than you'd like to admit. The air bites at your lungs, gnaws at your fingertips, and you know, without any cozy delusion, that if you don't find shelter soon, you probably won't survive this night. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. I love knowing whether you're falling asleep in Tokyo at 2 a.m. or tuning in from a sunny California afternoon. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The world before fire is a place you've never quite imagined. But here you are, trudging across the damp soil, your breath clouding in the night. There's no orange glow on the horizon, no warm hearth waiting, just blackness and the eerie sounds of night predators. Hyenas laughing in the distance, owls giving their shrill warnings. Your stomach growls, but raw meat makes you sick, and the roots you dug earlier taste more like dirt than dinner. You press deeper into your fur wrap. Its edges are stiff with frost, because here's a fun mainstream fact. Ice Age nights could plummet to temperatures cold enough to kill in a few hours if you weren't moving, huddled, or lucky enough to find a cave. And caves? Already taken by bears, cats with teeth like sabers, or neighbors who don't answer the door politely. You hunker into the hollow of a tree. Wind seeps in anyway, stinging your face, dragging tears out of your eyes. Every muscle shivers without your permission. Shivering, by the way, isn't just you being miserable. It's your body's emergency trick to generate heat. Historians still argue whether our earliest ancestors fully understood this reflex, or just thought their bones were trying to dance without them. Either way, you're shaking so hard, your teeth knocked together like flint. The ground is hard, damp, and alive with tiny legs, bugs scuttling, unseen things creeping near your ears. You tuck them away and pull your knees to your chest. Hunger claws at you again. Raw food is rough on your belly, but there isn't much choice. The marrow from old bones, cracked open with stone, is oily and rich, but without cooking, it's slimy in your mouth. You gag, swallow, because starvation doesn't care about your taste preferences. Out in the dark, eyes gleam. A pair of them, then another. Hyenas maybe, wolves maybe, something else entirely. But whatever it is, you know this. You are the prey. Your tiny tribe huddles not far away, in another hollow. They too curl together like a pile of shivering animals. The little ones whimper quietly, muffled against mother's shoulders. Adults stare into the void, helpless to push it back. There's no torch, no lantern, no flicker of safety. A quirky fact here: before fire, people sometimes tried to use glowing fungi or even phosphorescent beetles as natural lights. Imagine holding a rotting log with greenish mushroom glow and saying, "Relax, it's mood lighting." Not super reliable, when a lion is eyeballing you. The night deepens, cold presses harder, like an invisible weight. Your eyelids sag, but every creak and snarl jerks you awake again. This is the rhythm of life before fire. Constant watchfulness, constant fear. The dark itself as much a predator as the beasts moving inside it. And here, something tugs at you. Not just fear, not just hunger, something stranger. The thought that maybe this isn't the way it has to be. The shadows are total, but you remember once, far away, the sky split open with lightning and a tree burst into roaring orange. You'd stood transfixed. Everyone else ran. But you lingered, dazzled by a light that turned night into day. It frightened you, yes, but it also called to you. You hug your arms tighter around your chest now, teeth clattering, whispering silently into the black. If only that light could come back. If only you could call it yourself, not wait for the sky to throw it down in a tantrum. If only you had fire. The predator's pace. The cold deepens. The hunger scratches. This is your life before the secret is cracked. A thin thread of survival, stitched by luck, sharpened by fear. Every night, you pray the dawn will come before something else does. Every night, the dark feels endless. But this particular night, as you close your eyes and try to imagine warmth, you don't know it yet. Your hands, your stubbornness, your reckless curiosity, they're going to change everything. Not just for you, but for every single person who will ever live after. You wake stiff and sore. Morning light crawling over the horizon like a reluctant animal. The predators have slunk away for now, but their tracks are there in the dirt. Pads, claws, little scuffs where something circled just close enough to test your weakness. You survive the night, but survival feels like a coin flip. And the coin is weighted against you. You stretch, joints cracking, breath still fogging. Hunger is worse now. The marrow bones are gone. Roots and bitter berries are not enough. The little ones of the tribe cling to their mothers, whining softly, ribs showing too clear beneath their skin. You run your tongue over your teeth, grimacing at the taste of old blood and dirt. And then it happens. You strike one stone against another, not for any reason except boredom, or maybe a need to shape the edge into a sharper tool. The click echoes, sharp and clean. The stones chip, flint sparking against flint. And there it is. For the briefest instant, a tiny star leaps free, a spark, bright as a firefly. Then gone, you blink. The others don't notice. They're too busy digging through packs, nursing children, scanning the horizon. But you saw it, a flash, a flicker, a promise. Your heart stutters in your chest, a beat out of time. You bring the stones together again, clack, chip. Another spark, small, quick, vanishing into the air. Most people in your group wouldn't care. Sparks mean nothing if they don't last. But you feel something ripple across your skin, goose flesh rising. The memory of that lightning strike months ago returns. The tree lit like a torch, branches screaming with flame, the smell of burning wood and fur. It terrified you then. It fascinates you now. Here's your mainstream fact for the night. The earliest controlled use of fire by humans is believed to stretch back almost 1 million years. Archaeological sites in Africa show blackened stones, charred bones, and ash deposits. Whether those fires were sparked intentionally or simply nurtured from wild sources is still debated. But either way, the evidence is there. Our ancestors were already leaning toward this dangerous, delicious discovery. You keep testing, sparks bouncing off stone, but they vanish into the air. Nothing to catch them, nothing to hold them. It's like trying to grab sunlight with your fingers. Still, your pulse won't let you stop. The others grumble, annoyed at your noise. One elder even throws you a glance that could peel bark from a tree. Quirky detail. Some scientists suggest that early humans were drawn to fire, not just for survival, but for its sheer hypnotic effect. We might literally be hardwired to stare at flames the way modern kids are hardwired to stare at screens. And here you are, staring at sparks like a proto-gamer with the first glimpse of glowing pixels. You keep at it. Clack, clack, clack. Fingers numb, eyes watering. Sparks, yes, but never flame. And the tribe begins to murmur. They whisper words you know, foolish, cursed, touched by spirits. Some believe the fire belongs only to the sky and the gods. Trying to summon it yourself? That's like asking for punishment. Historians still argue whether fear of fire among early peoples delayed its mastery by centuries, maybe even millennia. After all, fire kills as easily as it warms. Entire groups may have avoided it, seeing only danger in the blaze. Was the first firemaker seen as a hero or as a lunatic doomed to burn? Nobody can quite agree, but you're not thinking about debates or warnings. You're thinking about that spark, about the way it teased the air, about how close it came to living. You press your lips together, determined. The idea has rooted itself inside you, stubborn as hunger. The tribe begins to move on, trekking across the plain in search of food. You follow, carrying your flints, hiding them from the sharp eyes of the elders. Each step, you feel the weight of them in your hands, like a secret. Every pause, you test them again. Spark, spark, a ghost of fire. By nightfall, when the group settles again under the looming dark, you're more restless than ever. The cold comes, teeth chatter, children cry, the predators lurk, voices echoing out in the night, and you, tucked away from the others, clutch your stones like a gambler clutching dice. If the gods won't give you fire, maybe you'll steal it. Maybe tonight, or the next, or the next. The sparks are only beginning, but already you know there is something here worth risking everything for. Darkness rolls in again, thick as wet wool, and you are back in the cold prison of night. But tonight, the sky has different plans. A low grumble rumbles over the horizon, like some giant rolling in its sleep. The wind picks up, hair whipping your face, furs pulling loose at the shoulders. A storm is coming. The children huddle against their mothers, eyes wide. The elders mutter, watching the clouds as if they've seen this dance too many times. Lightning, they whisper. Thunder, they sigh. The sky god's anger, they warn. You crane your neck, eyes wide open. The heavens split, just a flash at first, a jagged crackle like the world being torn with claws. Thunder follows like a drumbeat from a giant's chest. Then again, another flash, closer. White fire burns across the dark clouds. So quick, it's burned into your eyes, even when you blink. And then it happens. A strike hits the plain not far from where you stand. The sound is deafening, like rocks collapsing, like the whole earth crying out. A tree explodes, bursting into splinters, and in the split wood, a tongue of flame leaps free. It licks upward, red, orange, alive. You stumble back, your heart hammering in your chest. The others scream, scatter, pull the children away. Some fall flat to the ground, covering their heads. But you stare, not with fear. Well, not only fear. There's awe too, and hunger, and something like longing. The fire grows, crackling as it eats bark, snapping branches, sending sparks into the air like angry bees. The rain begins to fall, hissing against the flames, but the tree burns stubbornly, holding on to its light. Smoke curls up into the night sky. The smell is sharp, bitter, but not unpleasant. It fills your nose, fills your chest. Here's a mainstream fact. Lightning was probably the most common natural source of fire for early humans. Archaeologists believe that many of the earliest encounters with fire came from storms just like this. Trees struck, grasslands burned, whole forests lit up like torches. And our ancestors, they didn't create the fire at first. They chased it, and so do you. While most of the tribe flees from the blaze, you creep closer, eyes watering from the smoke. The heat pushes against your skin, not like the stabbing cold you know, but a wave that wraps around you. It's dangerous, yes. Your instincts scream to back away. But another instinct, older, deeper, tells you to stay. You hold out your hand, too close. You yank it back, skin tingling. Another attempt, cautious this time. The warmth touches your fingers, seeping in, driving away the chill. You laugh, a low, breathless laugh that surprises you. It feels like the first laugh you've had in months. The flames pop, sparks flying. One lands on the grass near your feet. You watch it glow, then die. You kneel, breath caught, thinking, what if you could catch it before it died? Hold it, keep it. Quirky tidbit. Some modern tribes, as recently as the last few centuries, still kept embers alive for months by carrying smoldering logs wrapped in ash or moss. Imagine traveling across landscapes with a burning bundle tucked under your arm. Like the world's most dangerous backpack accessory, you pluck a stick from the ground. The tip catches, glows, then bursts into a small flame. You hold it up, triumphant, even as your tribe gasps in terror. They call to you, begging you to throw it away. The gods will punish you, they say. Fire isn't meant for human hands, but your hands don't listen. Your eyes are full of orange, red, gold. The flame dances, alive and wild, casting shadows that leap against the wet ground. The storm rages above, but you've stolen a piece of the sky. Historians still argue whether early humans tamed fire, suddenly or gradually. Was there one bold individual who first held the torch? Or was it countless small moments across generations? Embers kept, sparks tested, logs carried? You'll never know what history will say of you. But standing here with fire in your hand, you feel like a thief of the gods. The rain hisses harder. The burning tree groans, collapsing inward. Your torch sputters, threatens to die. Panic grips you. You wave it, blow on it, shield it with your body. The tribe has already retreated, muttering about curses. You're left alone in the storm, cradling your fragile light. And in this moment, soaked to the bone, but glowing from within, you realize you can't let it go. Not now. Not ever. You clutch the burning branch like it's a newborn child, shielding it from the rain with your arm and shoulder. Every drop that hisses against it feels like a personal attack. You hunch over, breathing hot air into your cupped hand around the flame, desperate to keep it alive. Behind you, the tribe is moving away, quickly, nervously, muttering about curses and spirits. They don't want to be near you, the fire thief. Some won't even look at you, but you don't care. You have something more precious than their approval. The torch sputters again. Panic spikes through your chest. You kneel, hunting for something dry. Anything. A patch of grass under an overhang, brittle bark, dead leaves caught in a knot of roots. You press them together and lower your burning branch. Smoke. A glow. Then a flicker. Another flame leaps up, small but eager. You grin wildly. A grin so sharp it hurts your cheeks. Now you're not just holding fire. You're feeding it. The warmth is instant, licking up your arms, chasing the cold from your bones. You stretch your fingers toward it, marveling at how it bends shadows, how it hisses at the raindrops that try to smother it. You sit there, drenched but glowing. The fire's dance mirrored in your eyes. Mainstream fact time. Once humans learned to carry embers and feed flames, everything changed. Sites like Gesher Benot Yaakov in Israel suggest early hominins may have kept fires burning for weeks at a time, nearly 800,000 years ago. Carrying the flame became as vital as carrying water. It wasn't just light or warmth. It was survival. Of course, keeping fire alive isn't simple. You learn quickly that damp leaves choke it, that green wood smokes more than it burns, that too much fuel suffocates, and too little leaves it to die. The flame is needy, demanding. It's like a wild animal. You don't tame it, you coax it, you beg it, you threaten it under your breath like an exasperated parent. A quirky little image for you. Later cultures, far in the future, would sometimes refer to fire as a living child or even a guest in the home. People fed it carefully, whispered to it, even sang to it. And here you are, crooning nonsense to a pile of smoldering twigs, hoping your tone alone convinces the flame to stay. The tribe, seeing your small blaze from a distance, begins to circle back, hesitant, curious. They hover, eyes darting between the glow and your face. Some hiss in warning. Others, braver, creep closer, hands outstretched to feel the heat. A gasp ripples through them as warmth touches their skin. No invisible god strikes them down. No punishment falls from the sky. Just heat, comfort, life. But not everyone is convinced. An elder shouts, demanding you stamp it out before it brings danger. They warn of sparks catching the grass, of spirits angered, of predators drawn by smoke. And yes, those dangers are real. Historians still argue whether early fire use sometimes destroyed more than it saved, with entire groups losing camps to accidental blazes. Fire was a gamble. But what gamble in this age wasn't? You look into the flames. For a moment, you see not just survival, but possibility. Cooked food, safety from beasts, light in the darkness. It's all here, curled up inside this glowing, writhing spirit. You press a hand to your chest and whisper, "Mine." The rain eases. The night settles. The predators don't come quite as close this time. They linger at the edge, eyes glowing, but they do not rush in. The fire hisses and snaps, a barrier they cannot cross. The children laugh in relief. Mothers sigh and relax shoulders that have been tense for years. For once, everyone breathes. And you? You sit back, proud, damp hair plastered to your forehead, skin hot on one side and cold on the other. You feel the tribe's eyes on you, some fearful, some grateful, some resentful. You don't care which. The truth is undeniable. You've stolen fire from the gods, and you're not giving it back. Tomorrow, you'll learn how fragile it is to keep alive. Tomorrow, you'll struggle to carry it, to feed it, to protect it. But tonight, you are the one who dared. Tonight, you sit in front of a fire you chased and caught, heart thudding with victory. And even if nobody else will say it, you know, nothing will ever be the same again. The next morning dawns with smoke in your hair and soot streaking your fingers. Your little pile of flames is gone now, eaten down to a bed of gray ash with only a few orange veins still glowing underneath. You stir it carefully with a stick, the way you might poke at a sleeping snake. A curl of smoke rises. A pulse of heat touches your wrist. The fire isn't dead yet. Not quite. You lean close and blow. Gently at first, then harder. The ash stirs, glowing brighter. Little sparks racing through like fireflies waking up. A thin flame licks up, hungry for more. You feed it dry twigs, scraps of bark, shreds of grass. The fire answers with a snap, then a pop, then a steady crackle. And just like that, you've done it again. The tribe watches from a distance. They saw last night's miracle, but part of them believed it was a fluke, a storm accident, a one-time gift from the sky. Now they see you bending over the ashes, coaxing the orange spirit back to life, and their eyes widen. Some step closer, hands out, mesmerized by the warmth. Others mutter that you've trapped a spirit, enslaved a demon, cursed them all. You grin anyway. The fire is yours to wake and yours to tend. Here's the mainstream fact tucked inside this moment. Learning to maintain fire, keeping embers alive overnight, coaxing flames from ash, was just as revolutionary as learning to make it. Controlled fire turned from a rare accident into something portable, dependable. Ash beds, like the one at Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, dated nearly 1 million years ago, show clear signs of fires kept and used repeatedly, not once, not by accident, over and over. But it's not easy. You learn quickly how fickle the flame is. One careless stomp, and it dies. One gust of wind, and it leaps out of control. One patch of wet wood, and it drowns in its own smoke. The fire is like a wild horse. Beautiful, strong, but ready to throw you if you don't pay attention. You sit back, watching the flames. And as you watch, you start to notice something. The way fire eats. The way it takes wood and grass and bone, chews them down, leaves only ash. You feed it scraps, and it grows. You starve it, and it fades. The fire has a hunger of its own. A quirky little tidbit here. Some anthropologists suggest that early humans might have seen fire not just as a tool, but as a living being, an animal or spirit that needed food, that breathed, that could die. That's not so strange when you think about it. Look at the way it flickers, the way it sighs, the way it devours everything you hand it. Sitting there, you can't help whispering to it like it's alive. The tribe notices too. Children giggle as shadows leap across the rocks, making monsters on the walls of your shelter. One of the men tosses a bone onto the fire, laughing when it pops and cracks. A woman holds her hands out and sighs, warmth soaking into her fingers. There's nervousness still, yes, but there's something else creeping in too. Curiosity, wonder. Historians still argue whether the benefits of fire were discovered all at once or in pieces. Did people realize immediately that smoke drives insects away, that flames harden wood, that ash can even preserve meat? Or did it take generations of experiments, mistakes, and happy accidents to unfold those secrets? Nobody's sure. But sitting here, you already sense that this flickering spirit is more than a shield against the cold. By evening, you're experimenting. You drop different things into the fire: sticks, leaves, even scraps of hide. Some burn fast, some slow, some stink so badly, everyone gags and waves their hands in front of their noses. The smoke stings your eyes, and yet you keep leaning closer, trying to learn its rules. What makes it grow? What makes it die? And as night falls, the tribe gathers around again. This time, nobody hides, nobody flees. They settle in a loose circle, eyes shining in the glow, voices softer, calmer. Children fall asleep without whimpering. Adults relax, shoulders slumping, as though a burden has been lifted. The fire flickers and hums, filling the air with warmth and the strange music of crackling wood. You lean back, soot-streaked and tired, but you can't stop smiling. You've learned something vital tonight. Fire isn't just stolen from the sky. It can be tended, studied, even taught. It can be a teacher in return, whispering lessons in smoke and sparks. And while your tribe may not say it out loud yet, the truth glows on their faces. They'll never want to go back to the darkness. Not now, not ever. The days roll on, and with each dawn, your little secret becomes less a miracle and more a daily ritual. You wake, you stir the ashes, you blow gently until the orange veins glow alive again. The tribe begins to rely on it, holding their hands out each morning like worshippers greeting the sunrise. But inside you, another itch grows. The itch of how lightning gave you your first flame, and embers have kept it going. But what happens when the fire truly dies? When there are no glowing coals left to coax, no storm to split a tree in half, no lucky ember to carry. You can't rely on chance forever. The fire must be yours to summon, not just to guard. So, you go back to the stones, the flints that once gave you sparks, tiny and fleeting, now call to you again. You slip away from the camp during the heat of the afternoon when the others are sleeping, and you sit in the dirt with the stones in your lap. Clack, clack, clack. Sparks flash, teasing you, winking like stars. Each one dies before it touches ground. You grit your teeth. You strike harder, faster, until your palms sting, until the stones chip and cut your fingers. Sparks rain in front of you, dancing on the dry grass, but each fizzles out, before you can even breathe hope into it. You growl under your breath, frustrated, but you don't stop. Here's a mainstream fact. Flint knapping, the shaping of stone tools, often produced sparks by accident. Archaeologists believe that it was during this everyday work of making sharp-edged weapons and scrapers that early humans first noticed the fire trick hiding inside. It must have been maddening and fascinating in equal measure. Imagine watching little stars fall at your feet and realizing they might hold the secret to warmth, light, and cooked food. And that's exactly what you feel now. Maddening, fascinating, exhausting. You rub your sore hands down your thighs, smearing them with dust and blood. Then you try again. Clack, clack, clack. The sparks leap and vanish, but one lands on a tuft of dry grass. For the briefest heartbeat, it glows orange, then dies. Your breath catches, so close. You scrape more dry grass together, shredding it between your fingers until it's soft and fluffy, like the underfur of an animal. You place it carefully, cupped in your hand, and strike again. Sparks leap. One lands. A glow, longer this time. You lean close and blow. It smokes. You cough. Your eyes sting. The glow fades. You groan, pounding the earth with your fist. Quirky tidbit. In some parts of the world, indigenous peoples call this bundle of shredded grass or bark a fire nest. The idea of cradling flame in something soft, almost like a bird's egg, shows just how personal and alive fire felt. And here you are, hunched over your own crude nest, whispering to it like it's a stubborn child. Hours pass, sweat runs down your face. Your shoulders ache, the sun dips low. Your tribe calls you back, but you wave them off. You can't leave, not now, not when you're this close. Clack, clack, sparks shower down. One lands in the nest, and this time, the smoke rises thicker, stronger. You lean in, careful, steady, blowing until your lips are numb. And then, it happens. The nest shudders, shifts, and bursts into a tiny flicker, a real flame. Weak, delicate, but alive. Your heart leaps into your throat. You cry out, a sound half laughter, half sob. You feed it scraps of grass, twigs, bark. It grows, licking upward, shaking shadows onto the dirt. For the first time, you've done it. No lightning, no storm, no stolen ember. Just stone, spark, breath, and willpower. The fire is yours. Historians still argue whether this discovery was made by one person, one tribe, or scattered individuals across the globe at different times. Was there a single first spark, or were there many lost to time? We'll never know. But right now, you don't care. You're the one sitting cross-legged in the dirt, soot on your face, grinning like a fool at the tiny miracle dancing in front of you. The tribe approaches slowly. They stare at the flames, then at your hands, then back at the flames again. A hush falls over them. One child whispers your name with awe. An elder mutters that you've made a pact with spirits. Another shakes their head, muttering prayers. But none of them step away. They're drawn in, eyes wide, skin reaching for the warmth. You sit taller, proud, exhausted, trembling with triumph. This isn't luck anymore. This isn't a gift from the sky. This is skill. This is knowledge. This is power you can carry in your hands. And deep down, beneath the joy, and the pride. There's a whisper of something else. Fear. Because now that you've called fire once, you know you'll have to do it again. And again. And again. Fire isn't just a miracle anymore. It's a responsibility. Still, as the flames lick higher and the shadows dance around you, one truth glows brighter than all the rest. You've become the first spark maker, and the world will never forget you. Even if it doesn't know your name, nights aren't cold anymore. Not truly. You've mastered the art of coaxing sparks into flame. The tribe depends on you now, not just to keep the embers alive, but to create them. It's a power that feels almost godlike, but it's also tiring. Every evening, every morning, someone nudges you, hands you flint, waits expectantly. You've become the fire bearer, the spark bringer, the one who can summon warmth from stone and breath. But now, the questions begin. What else can this fire do? At first, it's the obvious. Meat tastes different when you roast it over the flames. Softer, juicier. The sinew that once made your jaw ache melts between your teeth. Bone marrow, roasted instead of raw, slides out like butter, rich and heavy on the tongue. The others groan with pleasure as they eat, smacking lips, smearing grease over their faces. A new kind of feast is born. Here's your mainstream fact. Cooking with fire didn't just make food tastier, it unlocked calories. Heat breaks down proteins and starches, making them easier to chew, easier to digest, easier to absorb. This meant humans could gain more energy from less food. Some anthropologists even argue that fire itself was the fuel for brain growth. Bigger meals, softer food, less chewing time, more energy for thinking. Fire wasn't just warmth. It was evolution. But cooking isn't the only surprise. One day, a hunter tosses a piece of tough root into the flames, distracted while sharpening a spear. When he remembers it, pulls it out, and bites into it. His face twists in shock. The root is soft, sweet, edible. Something the tribe had once spat out as bitter and inedible becomes food. Fire turns no into yes. Soon, experiments abound. Seeds tossed in for fun pop like strange insects, puffing white. Fish roasted on sticks lose their slimy slickness, flaking apart like gold. Even the children begin to beg for burned bits of bark, gnawing them curiously, laughing at the bitterness. Quirky detail. The first kitchen accidents must have been hilarious. Imagine someone dropping food into the flames, cursing their clumsiness, then tasting it and realizing it was better. The first oops delicious moment in human history. Maybe the ancestor of every soufflé disaster, every overcooked steak, every late-night microwave experiment. But fire changes more than your meals. It changes your nights. Before, darkness was absolute. Once the sun fell, the world belonged to predators and shadows. Humans huddled together in silence, whispering, listening for rustles in the grass, for the cough of a lion, the slink of a hyena. Fear was the blanket that covered you all. Now flames push back the dark. Circles of light carve out safe spaces in the void. Predators still lurk, but they hesitate at the edge, eyes glinting, unwilling to cross the strange glowing barrier. The tribe sleeps easier, deeper, with fewer screams in the night. Children giggle as they chase fire shadows across the cave wall. elders sit up longer, telling stories by firelight. And this is the real magic. Stories. Because fire doesn't just change your diet or your fear. It changes time. Nights are no longer wasted hours of silence and dread. They're hours of talk, hours of laughter, hours of memory. A scholarly debate. Some researchers argue that fire is what created culture as we know it. Not just tools or weapons, but the shared weaving of tales, songs, plans, myths. The fire gave humans extra hours in the day, time to think and imagine together. Without it, perhaps no myths, no art, no history. Without it, maybe no us. And so, it begins for you. Around the fire, hunters boast of their kills. Mothers hum lullabies. Children invent games with sticks and shadows. You find yourself speaking more, telling stories of how the flames first came down from the sky, how you struck the stones and birthed light. Some call you chosen, some call you clever. Either way, they listen. But the fire brings something else too. Power. And with power, envy. One night, a rival watches you too closely. His eyes glint, not with warmth, but with hunger. He strikes the flints himself, tries to coax sparks, but only manages smoke and bloodied fingers. He scowls. His muttering is sharp, accusing. Why you? Why not me? This too is part of fire's gift. Division. For as much as it brings people together in its glow, it also draws lines. Who controls it? Who owns it? Who decides when it burns and when it doesn't? You don't answer him. You only add more wood, stirring the flames higher. The sparks fly upward, disappearing into the black sky. For now, the tribe is safe, full, and warm. But in your heart, you know this truth. Fire is no longer just survival. It is power, and power always comes with a price. The flames have grown bold. What once flickered, small and fragile, now roars like a beast caged in wood. You've learned the rhythms of fire. When to feed it, when to smother it, when to coax it like a stubborn child. And the tribe has learned to shape their lives around its moods. But something strange happens. The fire doesn't just change what you eat or when you sleep. It changes what you make. At first, it's an accident. A hunter digs his spear into the coals, trying to scrape off clinging fat. When he pulls it back, the tip is different. Harder, darker, sharper than before. He stabs it into the ground, and the point sinks deeper than it ever had. The tribe murmurs. Eyes widen. Soon, everyone is plunging sticks into the flames, laughing as they make fire-hardened spears. A weapon tougher than bone, tougher than tooth. Quirky fact. Archaeologists found fire-hardened spears in Germany, dating back at least 300,000 years, long before Homo sapiens. Imagine, our cousins, perhaps Neanderthals, holding them up proudly, saying, "Look what the fire did." Humans didn't invent the hack. Our whole family of species shared in it. Fire was everyone's teacher, and it teaches more. One day, a woman drops a lump of damp clay too close to the coals. Hours later, it hardens into something she can't crush in her hands. Instead of crumbling like dirt, it clinks like stone. The children play with it, tossing it, laughing at its sound. The tribe shrugs, uninterested. But you, You see it. You see what heat does. It transforms. That night, as the others sleep, you push more clay toward the fire. You watch as it bakes, as soft earth becomes something harder, stranger. You don't know it, but you've just invented pottery. Not pots yet, not bowls or cups, just the seed of an idea that fire can change not just flesh and wood, but the very bones of the earth. Mainstream fact: tens of thousands of years later, humans will use this trick to create ovens, bricks, pots, and eventually the very foundations of cities. But here, at the edge of the firelight, it's just a curiosity, a child's toy, a whisper of what's to come. But the most dangerous discovery is not clay or food or even spears. It is control. Because one evening, the fire burns too low. A storm threatens, rain hisses against the coals, and panic ripples through the tribe. You strike flint, hard, frantic. Sparks dance, smoke curls, but no flame comes. The rival, yes, him again, grins in the shadows. You are not chosen, he says, loud enough for all to hear. You are lucky. The fire was never yours. The tribe shifts. Whispers hiss in the dark. The safety of fire is fragile, and if you cannot bring it back, then maybe your power means nothing. You slam the stones again, harder. Hands blister, arms ache. Still nothing. Rain falls heavier. Children cry. Shadows press in. And then, there it is. A single spark. A tiny glow. You cup it, shield it, blow gently, desperately. It flickers, catches, becomes flame. The tribe roars with relief. But you notice something else. The rival's face. His grin curdles into rage. In that moment, you understand. The fire is no longer just light. It is politics. Here lies the scholarly debate. Was fire humanity's first form of social hierarchy? Some say yes. The one who controlled the flames controlled survival. Others argue it wasn't about one person. It was about the tribe's cooperation. Fire demanded constant attention, constant teamwork. One pair of hands couldn't keep it alive. Maybe then, fire wasn't just the birth of power. Maybe it was the birth of community. For you, it feels like both. You are praised, fed first, sung about in whispers. But you're also watched, envied, resented. Fire has set you apart, and nothing sets apart without also creating distance. That night, as the flames dance higher, you stare into them. They crackle, pop, spit sparks into the dark. In their movement, you almost see faces, wolves, birds, strange figures with long limbs and hollow eyes. The fire whispers in a language you almost understand. The others laugh, sing, doze. You sit awake, alone, staring at the fire that has given you everything: food, safety, power, stories. And you wonder, did you master fire? Or has fire mastered you? The fire is no longer just a tool, it's a heartbeat. Every night, the tribe gathers around it, circling the flames like planets around the sun. The fire has become the center of your world. You sit close, the warmth pressing against your skin, and you notice something new. The tribe doesn't only eat together now, they speak together. Before fire, nights were cold, quiet, and short. People huddled under skins, alone with their thoughts, fearing the dark. But now there is time. After the meat is roasted and the marrow sucked from bones, no one rushes to sleep. The fire holds them awake, curious, restless. Someone hums. Someone else stamps a foot. Children clap, laugh, add nonsense sounds. A rhythm takes shape. Soon, voices rise, imitating the crackle and roar of the flames. You smile because you realize what's happening. The first songs are being born. Quirky fact: anthropologists argue that music might have predated structured language. Rhythm, humming, chanting. These were ways to bond, to share emotion before words could carry complex meaning. Around fires like yours, people may have been singing long before they were talking. Imagine that. The lullabies, older than the stories, they would one day carry. But stories come quickly too. The old hunter clears his throat and begins speaking. His voice is low, gravelly, but the children hush immediately. He gestures to the flames, shaping shadows with his hands, and suddenly wolves leap, deer run, spears fly, all cast in the flickering firelight. You lean in, fascinated. The story isn't about now, it's about then. A great hunt, long ago. A time before most of the children were born. The tribe watches, spellbound. When he finishes, silence hangs heavy, then erupts into cheers. And you realize something. The past, once as fleeting as footprints in sand, now lingers. Stories keep it alive. Mainstream fact: this is how oral tradition began. Fire created not only warmth and safety, but memory. Humans became storytellers, carrying knowledge not just in bodies, but in minds. And unlike stone tools or spears, stories could travel light. A tale carried in your voice weighed nothing, but could change everything. Of course, not every story is welcome. Your rival watches the old hunter perform, eyes narrowing. Later that night, he begins telling his own story, a tale of how the fire first appeared, not from your hands, but from his dreams. He claims the spirits of the storm gave it to him. The tribe chuckles, half believing, half mocking. But his words plant seeds of doubt. The fire flickers, shadows lengthen. The children stare at him, wide-eyed. And you understand something chilling. Stories, like fire, can be dangerous. They can warm, but they can also burn. Scholarly debate. Did myths and religion arise as an accident of storytelling, or as deliberate social tools? Some argue humans invented myths, simply because our brains are pattern-hungry machines, desperate to explain thunder and stars. Others suggest myths were political. Early leaders spun tales to cement their power, just as your rival now twists the fire's origins for himself. You feel it happening in real time. You gave the tribe fire, but now he wants to give them meaning. And meaning, you sense, might outlast flame. That night, You stay awake long after the songs fade and the stories die down. You stare into the fire, listening to its hiss. You toss a stick, watch it blacken, spark, and crumble. In its embers, you imagine not just hunts and spirits, but tomorrows. You see paths you haven't walked, rivers you haven't crossed, beasts you haven't yet fought. You wonder, what if stories could look not only backward, but forward? The fire pops, and you swear it sounds like laughter. The tribe sleeps, curled in the glow. You sit alone, a new kind of weight on your chest. For the first time, you feel the itch of something larger than survival. The itch of imagination. Morning mist curls off the damp earth, and the fire from last night is only a bed of glowing coals. You stir it, adding twigs, watching the orange pulse back to life. It's routine now. Fire needs tending, like a child. But today, the fire feels different. It's not just warmth, not just protection. It has given you something else. Dreams. You remember them faintly. Half-broken images from the night. Running beside animals. Falling into the sky. Faces you know, but twisted, strange. The fire hasn't only stretched your waking hours. It stretched your mind. The children chatter nearby, still mimicking the old hunter's stories with exaggerated leaps and snarls. The rival sits apart, muttering to his little circle, fanning the embers of his own version of truth. And you, caught between them, you feel something stirring in your chest, a question, sharp and insistent. What if fire isn't the only thing waiting to be claimed? You leave camp that afternoon, curiosity gnawing at you. The forest smells of damp moss, mushrooms, and old rain. Every leaf glistens. Your spear feels heavier than usual, not because of its weight, but because of the weight of your thoughts. A rustle. A boar bursts through the underbrush, tusks flashing. You brace, heart hammering. It charges, but not at you. It charges past you, scattering the undergrowth. You whirl, and then you see them. Wolves. 3 of them, lean and hungry, their eyes locked on the fleeing boar. Your instinct is to back away. Wolves are death. But something makes you pause. The wolves aren't chasing you. They're chasing the same thing you might chase. Their eyes glance toward you for a split second. Wild, yellow, assessing. Then they vanish after the boar, melting into the forest. You stand frozen, breath clouding in the cool air. A thought crackles in your brain like dry leaves catching fire. What if? Not enemy. Quirky fact. Archaeologists still debate exactly how humans first began domesticating wolves. One theory is that bold wolves scavenged near human fires, picking at bones, and humans tolerated them. Another theory says humans may have followed wolves, learning from their hunts. Either way, the moment you just lived, the pause, the spark of curiosity, could be the seed of one of the greatest partnerships in history. Mainstream fact. Wolves would eventually become dogs, humanity's oldest companions. Long before sheep, cattle, or horses were domesticated, it was the dog who first curled up by the fire. You track the wolves quietly, curious. The forest grows darker, damp with shadow. Eventually, you find them again, not with the boar, but circling, cautious, sniffing the air. They sense you. One growls low, the sound vibrating in your chest. You should run. You want to run, but you don't. Instead, you do something absurd. You drop your spear. The wolves freeze. They don't rush you. They don't leave. They just watch. Slowly, you crouch, picking up a strip of roasted meat from your pouch. You toss it onto the ground between you. The largest wolf snarls, but then steps forward, teeth flashing as it snatches the meat. For one heartbeat, you are prey. Then it steps back, chewing, still watching. You exhale, trembling, and in that trembling silence, you realize something. The world is bigger than you thought. Not just fire, not just stories. There are alliances waiting, hidden in the shadows. The line between enemy and friend might not be as fixed as you believed. Scholarly debate. Was it humans who tamed wolves, or wolves who tamed humans? Some researchers suggest wolves adapted themselves, growing less fearful, seeking scraps. Others argue humans deliberately encouraged certain wolves to stick around. Maybe the truth is both. Maybe partnership was an accident, like sparks catching on dry grass. When you finally return to camp, the rival sneers. "Gone too long," he says. "Hiding?" You say nothing. You don't tell him about the wolves. Not yet. Instead, you sit by the fire, stroking the glowing embers with a stick. The children ask for more stories, tugging at your arms. And you realize you don't just have stories anymore. You have secrets. The fire pops, sending sparks into the air. You smile. The world is opening, and you are the one who sees it. The fire hisses in the damp morning. Smoke curls through the trees, and you watch as it drifts, fading into the pale sky. Something unsettles you today. You keep thinking of the wolves, of the way they looked at you, wild, sharp, almost understanding. You can't shake it. The rival struts about, barking orders. He's louder these days, emboldened by the growing crowd that laughs at his every joke. The old hunter stays quiet, sharpening stones, his eyes heavy with thought. The children, they hover near you more and more, begging for stories, tugging at your hands. But stories feel thin now. You want more. You want proof. The rains return. They come heavy, beating the earth until it smells like mud and leaves and rotting wood. The fire struggles. Sometimes it dies, hissing into black smoke. Everyone panics when that happens. Fire isn't just warmth now. It's life. Losing it feels like losing the sun itself. One evening, when the flames are weak and everyone is hungry, you decide to leave. You take a torch, holding the flickering light against the rain, and you slip into the forest. The rival jeers. Running away to the dark, his laughter follows you like a stone in your gut. But you keep going. The forest is alive in the storm. Branches thrash. Leaves whip your face. You stumble, nearly losing the torch. Then, howl. A long, cutting note, rising and falling. The wolves. Your heart races. You press on, following the sound. When you find them, they're huddled under a rocky overhang, soaked, fur plastered to their ribs. They're thinner than before. Their yellow eyes catch the light of your torch. For a long moment, silence. Then one steps forward, tail low, cautious. You break a bone in half, marrow glistening. You toss it. The wolf snatches it, crunching through with quick, powerful bites. The others follow, circling, wary but curious. And then you do something that makes no sense at all. You lower yourself to the ground, sitting in the mud, the firelight between you. The wolves don't lunge. They don't run. They just stay. The rain falls. The fire flickers. And for the first time, you feel like you are not alone in the forest. Quirky fact: early humans likely shared marrow bones with wolves. Wolves had the teeth to crack bones. Humans had fire to cook meat. Together, they wasted nothing. Imagine sitting in the mud, handing over leftovers to a creature that once hunted you. That's not just survival. That's the first dinner party. Mainstream fact: studies of ancient wolf skulls show changes over time. Shorter snouts, smaller teeth, the marks of domestication. Some wolves weren't just tolerated, they were chosen, generation after generation, until they became dogs. You spend the night with them. The fire smolders low, but the wolves stay close, their bodies steaming in the rain. You wake often, heart pounding at every growl, every twitch. But by morning, you are still alive. And when you leave, one of the wolves follows you a short distance, shadowing your steps before melting back into the trees. Something has changed. When you return to camp, the rival sees you, mud-streaked and dripping. Lost? He sneers, but his eyes flicker at the wolf's scent, clinging to you. The children crowd near, sniffing, whispering. One says, "You smell like the forest." Another whispers, "You smell like wolves." The old hunter lifts his gaze for the first time in days. His eyes narrow. He sees it too. Scholarly debate. Did humans seek wolves for hunting partners? Or did wolves seek humans for scraps? Some argue it was deliberate partnership. Others say it was unintentional, a slow drift over thousands of years. But maybe the truth is closer to what you feel now. Not planned, not forced. Just a fragile spark of curiosity, kept alive long enough to change everything. That night, you sit by the fire again, the rivals' laughter grating in your ears. The children beg for stories, and you tell them one, but softer, slower. A story of shadows in the forest, of eyes in the dark, of creatures that are not enemy, not friend, but something more. The children lean in, wide-eyed. Even the rival, pretending not to listen, glances your way. The fire crackles, throwing sparks into the night sky. You watch them rise, golden against the black. And you wonder, is this what it feels like when the world begins to shift? The smell of wet earth still lingers in your nose. Even as the days stretch on, you can't forget that night in the rain. The yellow eyes, the crunch of bone, the strange quiet that settled between you and the wolves. But the camp has no patience for strange quiet. The rival grows louder every day. His voice is a drumbeat, pounding over the chatter, over the crackling fire, over your own thoughts. He mocks you at every chance, and people laugh, sometimes nervously, sometimes too eagerly. Still, they come to you in whispers. The children first, then the mothers, then even a few hunters. They ask, "What was it like? Did the wolves bite? Did they bow their heads? Did they listen?" You never have a simple answer. All you can say is, they stayed. Food is thin. The forest offers only scraps this season: roots, bitter leaves, a rabbit if you're lucky. The rival blames you. He says your fires scared away the deer. He says your scent reeks of beasts. He says you bring weakness. The old hunter keeps quiet, but his eyes linger on you, as if waiting for something. And then, change. It begins with tracks, a scattering of hoofprints in the mud. Larger than deer, deeper, more numerous. The children spot them first, their little feet dancing around the marks. The rival waves them off. Too far, too fast, not worth the chase. But the old hunter crouches low, runs his fingers along the prints. "They're heavy," he murmurs. "Slow. Herd animals. Herd animals. Not just one. Many." You follow the tracks, and what you find makes your heart pound. A valley, low and green, after the rains. And in it, creatures you've only seen from a distance, too shy, too wild to approach before. Thick bodies, curved horns, legs like tree trunks. They grunt, they snort, they tear at the grass. A herd. The rival laughs when you return with news. Catch one with your bare hands, then tell me it matters. But the old hunter doesn't laugh. His eyes glitter. He sharpens new spears that night, humming softly, like he hasn't in weeks. The hunt comes at dawn. Mist clings to the valley. Your people crouch in the tall grass, shivering, hearts beating like drums. The rival grips his spear, smirking. The old hunter gives the signal. The herd startles easily, too easily. One wrong move, and they bolt, a thunder of hooves shaking the ground. But the old hunter is clever. He guides the group with shouts, with fire, with waving arms. The animals scatter toward the cliffs, panic driving them exactly where he wants. You can feel the earth tremble beneath your feet. You can hear the rival laughing, sprinting forward. And then you see it, the cliff edge, the sharp drop. The herd has nowhere left to run. It happens fast. A roar of bodies, a shattering of stone, a cloud of dust rising as creatures tumble, crashing down, breaking on the rocks below. Silence follows. A silence so heavy it presses against your chest. Then the cries begin. Not from the herd, but from your people. Shouts of triumph, of disbelief. Meat, hides, bones. More than anyone can remember seeing in one place. Enough to last through the harshest winter. The rival throws his arms high. "See what strength brings," he bellows. But you know it wasn't strength. It was planning, It was patience. It was something new. You spent days at the valley floor, working among the bodies. Knives of stone, tear hides. Hands reached deep for marrow. Fires smoke with roasting flesh. The smell is everywhere. Rich, heavy, inescapable. Children laugh with grease on their chins. The mothers sing as they tan hides. Even the old hunter allows himself a smile. But the rival doesn't let you forget. He struts with a necklace of teeth, claiming glory, declaring himself leader. And still, when the night comes and the fire burns low, some slip near you. They whisper, tell the story again, the one about the wolves. Mainstream fact. Archaeologists believe some of the earliest large-scale hunts were drive hunts, pushing herds of animals into ravines or over cliffs. Sites filled with bones, shattered and piled, testify to a sudden, massive kill. Quirky fact, early hunters didn't just eat the meat, they used everything. Sinew for thread, hides for shelter, bones for flutes. Yes, flutes. The oldest known musical instruments are made from hollowed bird bones and mammoth ivory. Imagine sitting by the fire, chewing roasted meat, while someone toots out a shaky tune on a bone whistle. Scholarly debate. Was this the birth of organized hunting strategy, or just luck? Some argue the evidence points to coordinated drives with fire and noise to funnel herds. Others suggest it could have been opportunistic, animals already trapped by cliffs, humans simply finishing the job. Either way, it was a leap in survival. The camp swells with food, with pride, with confidence. But something in you aches. Maybe it's the way the rival grins too wide. Maybe it's the smell of blood that won't wash off. Maybe it's the memory of yellow eyes in the rain and the quiet understanding they brought. As the people feast, you find yourself staring into the dark beyond the fire, listening, waiting, and you wonder if the world has just taken another step, one that cannot be undone. The bones are stacked high. The hides are stretched out on wooden frames. The smell of smoke and fat never leaves the valley now, clinging to your skin, your hair, the very air you breathe. Your people are full, bellies heavy, faces round, laughter louder than you've ever heard. For the first time in memory, no one worries about tomorrow's hunger. The children chase each other with scraps of sinew, waving them like strings. The mothers sew with it, stitching together cloaks that block the cold. But you watch. You watch the rival strut with his necklace of teeth, every grin flashing sharp as a blade. You watch the old hunter sit apart, quiet, thoughtful, his fingers tracing the haft of his spear. And you watch the wolves shadowing the camp from the tree line, their eyes catching the firelight, never coming closer, never turning away. The feast has given life, yes, but it has also given weight, a new heaviness in the air. It starts with smoke, not your smoke. The rival notices first, his voice booming through the camp. Another fire, not ours. He points toward the horizon, where a thin, dark ribbon coils upward into the sky. Whispers spread. Others, not us. others. Some mutter stories of strangers who steal children, who eat hearts, who walk with skins painted red. Others swear these others are like mirrors, humans who laugh, who cry, who bleed the same. But one thing is clear, you are not alone. The rival roars with delight. If they have meat, we take it. If they have fire, we claim it. If they have fear, we make them feel it. The mothers clutch their children. The old hunter shakes his head. His voice is low, steady. We don't know them, don't know their ways. A hungry beast strikes first. A wise one waits. You stand between. The fire still rises, steady as the sun. The decision comes at dawn. The rival gathers hunters, chest bare, necklace rattling. Follow me, he declares. We will see who rules this land. But others look to you. They remember the wolves. They remember the valley of the herd. They ask, do we follow? Do we fight? Do we hide? Your chest feels heavy. The wolves' eyes flash in your memory. Bright, patient, waiting. So you go. The smoke leads you to a clearing. And there, strangers, not beasts, not shadows, people. Their fire burns hot and bright, higher than any you've seen. Around it, figures move, laughing, talking, sharpening stones. Their bodies are painted with streaks of ash and red clay. They wear necklaces of shells, beads glimmering in the firelight. And they see you. It is not blood at first. It is stillness. Both sides staring. Your breath loud in your ears. The rival's knuckles white around his spear. One of the strangers steps forward. A woman, her hair bound with sinew, her chest painted with lines of red. She raises her hands, not in strike, but in show. Empty palms. The rival growls. Weakness. But the old hunter murmurs. No. Signal. You step forward. The first words are not words. They are sounds. Grunts. Hums. Clicks. Strange, but not entirely unfamiliar. Like hearing your own tongue in a dream. Twisted, but almost right. The rival jeers, mocks, spits. But you try. You mimic the sounds, awkward, slow. The woman smiles, faintly, nods. She points to herself, strikes her chest. A sound, a name. You do the same. The fire crackles between you. The meeting doesn't end in blood, not yet. You trade a shell necklace for a stone blade, a piece of roasted meat for a strip of dried root that tastes sharp and sour, a laugh for a laugh, though no one fully understands why. The rival fumes. His voice is thunder when you return. We should have taken their fire. We should have broken their bones. But others whisper of the beads, of the root, of the laughter. They look at you differently now. Mainstream fact. Around this time, humans began encountering other groups, not just rival tribes, but even other human species. Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo sapiens crossed paths. Sometimes they fought, sometimes they traded, sometimes they shared bloodlines. Quirky fact: the oldest jewelry ever found is over 100,000 years old. Perforated shells, strung together on sinew or plant fiber. People didn't just survive, they decorated themselves, signaling identity, status, maybe even love. Imagine two tribes meeting, and instead of stabbing each other, they compared necklaces. Scholarly debate: did human groups mix peacefully or violently? Some argue early meetings were bloody, territory was scarce, and competition fierce. Others point to shared tools, shared genes, shared stories and cave paintings as proof that cooperation sometimes won. The truth? Probably both. That night, you lie awake, staring at the fire. The rival snores rattle. The mothers hum to their children. The old hunter sharpens his blade, sparks flashing in the dark. And from beyond the circle of light, you hear it. A low, steady howl. The wolves, still waiting, still watching. And you wonder, are they your shadow or your future? The wolves come closer that night, not into the firelight. No, never so bold, but near enough that you see the glow of eyes blinking in and out of the dark. Near enough that the hairs rise on your arms. Near enough that the rival grabs his spear in his sleep, his fist tight even as he snores. You lie still. You listen. The low pads of paws on the frost-bitten ground. The rustle of brush bending under their weight. Their voices, long, drawn out, echoing howls that braid together until the sound feels like it's vibrating through your chest. The children cry. The mothers hush them. The old hunter murmurs, "Not yet." They wait. They always wait. You wonder, are they waiting for your weakness? Or are they waiting for your invitation? Dawn comes. The rival stands tall, eyes wild, jaw clenched. We hunt them. We kill them. We show we are the rulers here. He spits into the fire, daring anyone to disagree. The mothers shake their heads, fear in their eyes. The wolves are many, one whispers. They are strong, the old hunter shrugs. They are clever too, more clever than you think. All eyes turn to you. You've become the in-between, the one who stood between your people and the strangers with beads. Now, it seems, you must stand between them and the shadows with teeth. The hunt begins not with spears, but with silence. The rival takes a group of men, moving into the woods. You follow, heart pounding. Snow crunches underfoot. Breath fogs in the cold air. Every step feels too loud, too slow, too clumsy. The wolves do not run. They watch, always just beyond reach. A flash of fur, a flicker of tail, a sharp yip, echoing from one side, then another. The rival snarls. They mock us. He throws his spear. It vanishes into the brush. A wolf yelps, sharp, quick, then silence. That silence is broken by an explosion of movement. The pack surges. Not toward you, around you, circling. A blur of gray and black, flashes of teeth, low growls that rumble through your bones. You freeze. The rival charges, bellowing, spear raised. A wolf lunges. Its teeth sink into his arm. He howls louder than they do. Blood sprays, hot against the snow. Chaos, screams, snarls. The thud of feet, the ripping of flesh. And yet, something strange. The wolves don't finish him. They tear, they push, they retreat. As if testing, as if measuring. The old hunter shouts, "Back! Hold!" And slowly, just as quick as it began, the pack pulls away. Shadows melting into shadows. Only their eyes remain, glimmering in the dark. The rival stumbles, blood dripping from his arm, rage boiling in his throat. They tried to kill me, but your heart still racing. You're not sure. They could have killed him. They didn't. That night, you sit by the fire, replaying the scene. The rival spits curses, clutching his wound. The mothers huddle their children close. The old hunter sits quiet, watching the tree line. You hear the wolves again, not howling this time, barking, short, sharp, almost like speech. You laugh nervously. A strange thought crawls into your mind. What if they are speaking to us? The old hunter glances at you. His eyes glint in the firelight. Maybe they are. Days pass. The rival grows weaker, his wound festering. His necklace of teeth lies dull on his chest. He blames you, blames the wolves, blames the strangers you traded with. His voice grows hoarse with fury, but fewer listen now. The wolves keep coming back, always near, never near enough. One morning, a mother screams. A child is missing. Panic. You run into the woods, heart pounding. The child's prints in the snow. Small, quick, erratic. You follow until the prints stop. And there, before you, wolves. A circle of them, standing over the child. Not biting, not tearing, just standing. One of them nudges the child with its nose, almost gently. The child laughs. The laugh freezes you harder than any cold ever has. You step forward, spear trembling. The wolves do not move. They look at you, all of them, as one. The largest of the pack steps closer, eyes amber, fur bristling. It lowers its head, ears flat. Not attack, not submission. Something else. You take a breath. You lower your spear. The wolves break the circle. Slowly, silently, they melt back into the trees. The child runs to you, giggling, and in the snow, left behind where the wolves stood, you find it. A bone, not chewed, not broken, placed. You return to camp, child safe, bone in hand. The rival scoffs, spits. A trick. They lure us. They wait to strike. But the old hunter only nods. They are speaking. You just don't know the words yet. Mainstream fact. Wolves and humans crossed paths constantly in prehistory. Some scholars believe wolves began trailing humans for scraps, following their campsites, growing bolder over generations. Eventually, some wolves were tolerated, even welcomed, leading to the first domesticated dogs. Quirky fact: the earliest dog burials show not just utility, but love. In a 14,000-year-old grave, a human was buried with a dog, their arms resting together. In another, a dog with arthritis was carefully buried, suggesting care even when the animal was no longer useful. The bond wasn't just survival, it was companionship. Scholarly debate. Did humans tame wolves, or did wolves tame themselves? One theory argues that the friendliest wolves sought out humans, benefiting from scraps and protection. Over time, these self-selected wolves became dogs. Another insists humans actively captured wolf pups, raising them by hand. The truth may lie in between. That night, as the fire burns low, you hear the wolves again. Not far, not near. Their voices rise into the dark sky, long and mournful. But now, something has shifted. It no longer sounds like a threat. It sounds like an invitation. You wake to the hiss and pop of embers. The smell of charred wood still clings to your hair, your hands, your furs, like a badge of honor you didn't ask for, but also don't quite want to wash off. Last night was not just any night. You are part of something new, something no one in your band has ever truly seen before. Fire that wasn't stolen from the sky. Fire that wasn't a temporary guest, burning itself out as quickly as it had arrived. Fire that belonged to you. Coaxed again, and finally mastered. Its flickering heart growing because you willed it to. And now, in the pale glow of dawn, the others are looking at you differently. There's awe, sure. A little fear, too. And fear, you're realizing, might actually be useful. It makes people careful. It makes them treat the flame not just as another tool, like a rock or a stick, but as something more, something alive, sacred. Someone whispers that it breathes, and honestly, staring at the way the coals glow, pulsing brighter when a breeze stirs them, dimming when starved, it's hard not to think the same. You add a twig, it crackles, swallows, exhales a sudden lick of orange. The group jumps back, then laughs nervously. You don't laugh. You're watching too closely, as if the fire might wink at you. The first shrine, by the time the sun climbs fully above the horizon. The conversation has shifted. What was once your band's restless hunger talk? What's for breakfast? How many roots we've left in the pit? Whether it's worth chasing the deer that bolted last night is replaced with hushed speculation. Should the flame be kept burning? Should it have a special place? Not just some scattered ashes on the dirt. One of the elders insists it must be treated like a child, never left alone. Another says, no, it is a spirit, older than all of us, and it should be fed offerings, dried herbs, fat, the marrow scraped from yesterday's bones. The group gathers stones, places them in a circle, and builds a hearth. It's crude, lopsided, but unmistakably deliberate. the first shrine. And just like that, a campfire becomes a temple. Historians still argue whether the earliest humans really worshiped fire as a god in itself, or simply as a vessel of power. Some say the flame was seen as an ancestor spirit, a bridge to unseen realms. Others think that's overreading the evidence. What's undeniable is that from caves in Chauvet to hearth pits found in Jordan, archaeologists can trace intentional fire spots, not just random burns. Someone, somewhere, had already decided flame deserved respect. The first rules: the children of your group are warned to stay away. But of course, they creep closer when the adults turn their backs. Their giggles fill the camp, little hands darting forward only to recoil at the heat. You find yourself scolding them, not just because you don't want anyone burned, but because some instinct deep in your gut tells you this flame is too important to risk. So you lay down rules. Don't spit in it. Don't urinate near it. Don't toss your trash into it unless it's meant as an offering. And never, never let it die. Strange, isn't it? A day ago you had no fire. Now you have a constitution. If you wrote them on bark, which you can't because writing hasn't been invented, they'd probably sound suspiciously like the bylaws of an HOA. Congratulations, you just invented both law and nagging. Quirky tidbit. In some later cultures, people believed sneezing near a sacred flame was dangerous. Your life force might be sucked into the blaze. Imagine explaining that allergy season is basically a spiritual crisis. Ceremonies of light. As night falls again, something happens. Without anyone planning it, everyone gathers around the flame. The shadows throw themselves huge and monstrous against the cave walls. Stories begin, not just quick mutters of "the hunt went well" or "watch for snakes," but full-blown tales. Your cousin paints pictures with words, weaving mammoths and spirits, hunters and stars. Firelight makes the stories bigger, brighter, mainstream fact. Anthropologists generally agree that fire changed human social life by extending the day. With fire, you could stay up late, share myths, build identities. Around the flames, cultures were born. Your people sing, clap, drum their ties. The flame is no longer just a tool. It's the axis around which the night turns. You realize something profound. People aren't worshiping fire alone. They're worshiping togetherness, warmth, safety, all bundled up into the orange glow. Keeper of the flame. By the third night, the group decides someone must always be responsible. At first, they joke that it should be you. After all, you coaxed the first spark. But then, the joke becomes a rule. You're named the Keeper, which sounds grand, until you realize it means fewer naps. Still, the role sticks. Your authority grows. People bring you offerings, ask your advice. Did you expect this? Not at all. But here's a sly modern aside. This is how politics begins. One person with access to a resource, whether fire, water, or Wi-Fi, suddenly becomes indispensable. You've become the administrator of the first group chat, and your banhammer is literally a stick for stoking embers. Fire as boundary. The next hunt, when you return, others have ringed the hearth with carefully chosen stones, smoothed from the river. They've painted them with ochre, red streaks like veins of blood or flame. Crossing that ring feels different. It's a line. Inside is safe, sacred. Outside is wild. Fire is no longer just about survival. It defines territory, community. The tribe now has an inside and an outside. Archaeologists really have found circles of stones in prehistoric sites that appear ceremonial, not merely practical. Did they mark sacred fires? Historians still argue whether these were proto-altars or just good engineering. But standing here, the answer feels obvious. The question of divinity. Lying awake, you stare at the flame, wondering, is it alive? It eats, it breathes, it dies. It has moods, docile with dry twigs, furious with resin. Could it be more than alive? Could it be divine? Some in your group mutter about the great spark, a heavenly flame that gifted itself to you. Others whisper that maybe the fire is dangerous, a trickster spirit testing your arrogance. Nobody agrees, but that's the beauty of it. You're inventing theology in real time. Mainstream fact: fire worship is one of the oldest identifiable religious practices. From the Zoroastrian temples of Persia to the eternal Olympic flame, cultures carried this thread for thousands of years. Quirky twist? In some myths, salamanders were thought to live inside flames, born from fire itself. Imagine explaining that to a child who just saw a lizard scurry across the hearth. Transformation complete. By the 10th day, you barely remember life without flame. Food tastes better, softer. Nights are warmer, longer. Wolves keep their distance. And yet, there's something more. People bow their heads when they pass. They whisper words of thanks. They sit straighter in its glow. It's not just a fire anymore. It's the sacred flame. And you, accidental innovator, reluctant priest, tired keeper, are at the center of a revolution. The funny part? All you did was rub two sticks together. The world will never be the same. The ocean waits far beyond the hills, a vast stretch of salt and wind that smells like nothing you've ever known. You trudge toward it, the sacred flame tucked carefully in a shallow pit, stones around it like tiny guards. Every step crunches over frost-bitten grass and brittle sticks, and every step carries the hum of your tribe's expectations. They follow, whispering prayers to the fire, nervous about leaving its circle. You feel the weight of it too. This fire is not just warmth anymore. It's authority, identity, and maybe even divinity. Out here, on the edge of your world, you meet the wanderers. They're strangers, their furs patched and worn, faces streaked with ash and salt. They carry their own fire, a smaller spark, dancing atop dry moss, cradled in bark, like a baby. You notice the way their eyes widen at your sacred flame, a mixture of awe and envy. They've traveled miles, maybe weeks, following the scent of smoke like a bloodhound, seeking the power that you now wield. The meeting is tense. You want to step forward, offer words, but language is limited. Gestures are your dialogue. The wanderers mimic your motions around the fire, hesitant, almost reverent. One holds up a hand, showing the flame in his palm. It sputters, almost dying. but he shields it carefully. You realize they are not here to steal it. Not yet. They are here to learn. Historians still argue whether fire first spread through trade or conquest. Did humans fight for flames? Or did they teach each other, passing sparks along in generosity? What you see now is both. A negotiation of survival and understanding. A moment suspended between fear and curiosity. You decide to demonstrate. With careful movements, you transfer a small ember from your fire to a bark container. It hisses, sparks, then settles in a steady glow. The wanderers gasp, some whispering. You feel a strange thrill. Knowledge is power, but sharing it creates alliances. This is not a minor moment. This is civilization in embryo. Quirky fact. In some early societies, sharing fire was ritualized. Visitors were often given embers with a small chant or song, as if the act of giving flame carried magic or protection. You almost hum a tune you don't know, just because the movement feels right. The ocean grows nearer, its waves crashing against rocks in rhythm with your heartbeat. The wanderers follow cautiously. The wind carries salt and ash and smoke, a cocktail that sets your senses on edge. You find a flat stone at the shoreline and place the sacred flame atop it. It stands resilient against the gusts, flickering but alive, daring the wind to snuff it out. You sense the first lesson. Fire, like life, must be guarded yet shared. Too much protection, and it dies unseen. Too much exposure, and it risks destruction. Balance. That's what the wanderers will learn. And maybe, someday, the world will learn from you. By sunset, the small group has built a secondary ring of stones around the sacred flame. This one for the wanderers' tiny ember. You watch them practice, coaxing smoke, shielding sparks, laughing softly when the wind hisses and threatens. It's almost playful, almost, but the stakes are immense. This is knowledge, survival, culture, wrapped in flame and transmitted hand to hand. The night deepens, the ocean roars, waves slap jagged rocks, and the sound is hypnotic. You sit beside the sacred flame, feeling its heat on your face, listening to the ocean, thinking of all the people who will come after you. Those who carry fire, who argue over fire, who worship it, who fear it. The first wanderers have learned. You have taught them well, and in the back of your mind, a quiet realization. This is only the beginning. Fire will not stay in one place. It will spread, crossing mountains, rivers, oceans, generations. You are the first chapter, but the story stretches endlessly beyond the horizon, much like the ocean itself. Mainstream fact. Anthropologists have traced fire use in early human coastal settlements, where controlled flame allowed cooking of shellfish and fish, expanding diet, and enabling permanent or semi-permanent settlement. Quirky detail. Some tribes believed embers carried the spirit of distant ancestors. Passing an ember to someone meant sharing a piece of family, or sometimes tricking them into accepting bad luck. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether humans first carried fire deliberately across landscapes, or whether it spread opportunistically from natural sources like lightning strikes. What you witness seems to suggest a mix, both cautious transport and intentional sharing. By the time the stars appear, the sacred flame glows against the ocean breeze. Steady, defiant, sacred. And you, keeper, watch, knowing that the fire you first tended will now journey farther than your eyes can see. The glow of fire has become the steady rhythm of your life. But like all rhythms, it sometimes skips. Because with fire, there comes conflict. Fire isn't just a gift anymore. It's a contested prize. The tribe has grown, not just yours, but others. Wanderers pass through, their eyes lingering on your flames with a hunger that no roasted mammoth steak can satisfy. They carry stories too, whispers of other clans who have mastered fire, who guard it with zeal, who treat it like a weapon. And here's where things get interesting. Humans, it turns out, don't just argue about what to eat or where to hunt. They argue about who gets to sit closest to the fire, who owns it, and, yes, who deserves to control it. You can almost hear the debates rising in the crackle of the wood. Fire belongs to all of us, someone insists. Another snaps back. No, it belongs to those who can summon it. The embers flare, as if taking sides. Historians still argue whether fire was first shared freely or jealously hoarded by small groups. Did the first keepers of flame happily offer it to travelers? Or did they threaten outsiders with smoking sticks, snarling like wolves, guarding a carcass? Nobody knows for sure. What you do know is that in your camp, it's starting to feel like a question that might burn hotter than the fire itself. Think about it. When the flames grow low and the night grows cold, people whisper accusations. You're using too much wood. Why should they get to eat first? Just because they carry sparks. If the fire is sacred, should one person hold the power to light it? Congratulations. You've just stumbled upon the earliest board meeting in history. Minus the suits and coffee, plus a lot more mammoth hide and shouting. Still, even in the tension, fire binds people. Rival tribes sometimes meet around neutral flames, awkwardly sharing warmth, the way modern strangers share phone chargers at an airport. And yet, at the same time, fights break out. Over wood, over territory, over embers, carried away in pots of clay. One mainstream fact here. Archaeology suggests that by at least 400,000 years ago, different human groups across Africa, Asia, and Europe were managing fire, which means conflict and competition over who got to keep it was inevitable. A quirky little tidbit. Some researchers think that early humans might have stolen fire directly from other tribes, creeping into camps like pyromaniac raccoons. Imagine that, sneaking in, pinching a glowing stick, then sprinting into the night with the prize, while half the camp chases after you in a panic. It's basically the Stone Age version of stealing Wi-Fi. And yet, the question of ownership keeps simmering. Fire isn't just warmth, it's identity. It marks your people as the ones who know. Those who sit beside the flames see themselves as chosen, blessed, perhaps smarter than the outsiders who still stumble in the cold. And so, fire doesn't just spark arguments, it sparks hierarchy. The ones who feed it, guard it, or claim to understand it suddenly stand taller than the rest. But maybe you wonder, does fire want to belong to anyone. It dances, flickers, leaps from branch to branch, stubbornly alive. It resists cages and burns through ropes. Sometimes, as you watch the sparks vanish into the night sky, you wonder if fire laughs at your debates. And so the glow becomes a stage, not just for warmth and food, but for politics, jealousy, and pride. You see our people arguing late into the night, the shadows of their flailing arms projected onto the cave walls like prehistoric theater. Fire doesn't just illuminate your world, it reveals how messy human hearts can be. The fire is still burning, but now the arguments fade into something stranger, something deeper. It's not just about survival anymore. Fire is becoming a story, a presence. One night, while the flames hiss and pop, someone begins to speak, not in grunts about meat or warnings about predators. No, this is different. They talk of where the fire came from. Maybe it was stolen from the sky, ripped from the claws of a thunder god. Maybe it was given by a trickster animal, sly and laughing. Maybe fire is a spirit itself, alive, watching, waiting. And just like that, fire becomes myth. You see, humans have this uncanny habit. We take the things we don't fully understand and wrap them in stories. Fire, unpredictable and dangerous, practically begs for explanation. And so the flames become a stage for the first storytellers. Shadows flicker across the cave walls. Animals leap and fade in the dancing light. And suddenly, the children are rapt, staring at shapes that seem bigger than the world outside. It's hard to say when exactly humans began weaving fire into myth, but hints suggest it's ancient, far older than the oldest written tales. Think of Prometheus in Greece, who stole fire from the gods, or the Maori legends of Maui, who tricked his grandmother into revealing its secrets, or the Cherokee tale of Grandmother Spider, who carried fire in a clay pot across the land. These stories, separated by thousands of miles and cultures, echo the same wonder. Fire is a gift, but also a danger. It must be respected. That's the mainstream history. Fire, as a universal mythic symbol, tied to creation, trickery, or punishment. But here's the quirky twist. Some archaeologists think that the storytelling itself, the ritual of gathering around the flames, may have rewired our brains. Imagine it, the steady glow of fire, calming the night, allowing longer hours of social time, sparking language, sparking imagination. Fire wasn't just for cooking. It was the first movie projector, the first classroom, the first stage. And debates spark among scholars too. Did fire inspire religion? Or did religion wrap itself around fire after humans were already telling stories? Some argue that rituals, offerings tossed into flames, prayers whispered to the sparks, were among the first acts of spiritual imagination. Others think fire was simply too practical, too raw to be worshipped at first. The debate itself feels as endless as the night sky above you. For you, sitting here, the myth feels real. The crackle of the flames sounds like laughter or warning. The rising smoke seems to carry voices. The sparks look like spirits darting upward, perhaps racing back to the heavens. You don't have words for all of it, but the awe sits heavy in your chest, because here's the truth. Fire is no longer just fuel. It's becoming meaning. It's becoming memory. Around these flames, humans learn to imagine futures, to tell the past, to bind themselves in something larger than hunger or fear. The glow stitches people together into a story, and that story, like the fire, refuses to die. The myths linger in the smoke. But now fire turns into something sharper, something that can be wielded, not just worshipped. At first, it's simple. A burning branch waved at a predator, the animal hesitating, growling, but backing away. Fire is a shield. Then someone has the idea to drive prey into the flames. Smoke choking, panic spreading, animals fleeing straight into waiting spears. Fire is a weapon. And then another spark of genius. Controlled burns to clear brush, to herd herds, to shape the very land. Fire is a tool for power. It's here, in this chapter, that humanity truly begins bending the world. Anthropologists call it fire stick farming in some parts of the world. Aboriginal peoples in Australia used it for tens of thousands of years, carefully burning grasslands in cycles, encouraging certain plants to grow, attracting game, reducing the risk of massive wildfires. In North America too, indigenous groups shaped landscapes with flame, creating fertile hunting grounds. Fire wasn't just destruction, it was landscaping. Agriculture before agriculture. That's the mainstream fact. Humans as land shapers, using fire deliberately to tilt ecosystems in their favor. But here's the quirky twist. Fire was also used as a kind of social equalizer. Picture it, some arrogant hunter, always boasting of his kills. One night, the group decides to knock him down a peg. They make him sit farthest from the fire, away from the warmth, away from the best meat roasting on the coals. Fire wasn't only about survival, it became a symbol of status, a way to include or exclude. To be banished from the circle was punishment as harsh as hunger. And then there's the debate that still smolders among historians and scientists. Did fire make humans human? Some argue yes. The control of fire allowed for cooked food, which made calories more accessible, fueling the growth of bigger brains. It extended waking hours, giving more time for teaching, planning, and bonding. In that view, fire wasn't just a tool. It was the spark that ignited culture itself. Others disagree, suggesting that while fire accelerated things, the essence of humanity, language, cooperation, imagination, was already in motion. Either way, you feel it in your bones. Fire is power. Tonight, the group sets a ring of small blazes around the camp, a glowing barrier against the night. The children stare, wide-eyed, seeing monsters in the shadows just beyond the flickering wall, but safe here, inside the circle. The hunters speak in low voices, planning tomorrow's drive, already imagining how they'll chase animals into the trap of flame. The elders mutter old warnings: respect the fire, feed it, don't anger it. You sit, watching sparks rise into the stars, thinking how strange it is. Once, fire was a wild thing, feared and fled. Now it dances at your command. Yet even as you stare, you can't shake the feeling that fire is only letting you borrow it, that it belongs to the world beyond. And one day, it might take everything back. The last dawn. It isn't that the sun has stopped rising. It's that everything feels different now, as though the old rhythm has given way to something new. You've walked with your people from sparks in the dark to the steady glow of flame, from chasing prey through thickets to shaping the very land to your will. Now the air tastes like change, and you can almost hear the hum of a different world beginning. At first, the dawn looks the same, pale gold spilling over the hills, mist curling in valleys, birds stirring awake. But the campfire embers at your feet tell a story. They are the last remnants of last night's blaze, coaxed carefully, protected, nurtured. A fire is no longer a gift stolen from lightning. It's your inheritance, something your people carry, guard, and pass on. The great change is underway. Fire doesn't just cook meat anymore. It softens roots, tough grains, even bitter plants that once turned your stomach. Slowly, human diets expand, and with them, human possibilities. Energy flows into brains. Chatter around the fire grows more complex. Plans stretch beyond days, into seasons, into years. The mainstream fact: this shift is what scientists call the control of fire revolution. It's the hinge of prehistory, the event without which agriculture, settlement, and civilization would never have taken root. Fire extended waking hours, protected against predators, and, crucially, made food more digestible. Without it, there would be no cities, no kingdoms, no use. The quirky detail: fire also became the first internet. No, not Wi-Fi, but signals in the night. Early humans lit torches on hillsides to communicate across distances, warning of danger, calling gatherings, or guiding wanderers home. A flicker on a ridge could mean everything. The first light across the dark, a message spelled in flame. In the debate, scholars still argue whether fire control happened once, in a single breakthrough moment, spreading across humanity like a torch passed hand to hand, or whether it happened many times, in many places, independently. Was there one Prometheus, or countless? One lineage of flame, or 1,000 sparks? We don't know. Maybe both. But you don't need the answer. What you know is the warmth on your skin, the smell of roasted food in your nose, and the safety of the circle around you. For the first time in your species' long story, you're not just surviving the night. You're shaping it. As the sun climbs higher, you realize this is a last dawn only in the sense that the old world, cold, wild, ruled only by chance, has ended. A new one begins here, glowing, uncertain, but yours to mold. And so the fire crackles, the people stir, the dawn becomes day, and the story of humanity steps into the light. So here you are, at the end of our journey together. We began in the shadows of prehistory, where lightning split the sky and flames danced wild, terrifying, and untamed. We watched as humans, cautious but curious, reached for that danger, learned to keep it alive, and slowly, patiently, made it their own. You've seen how fire became a guardian, a tool, a weapon, and a companion. How it gathered people into circles, drew out stories, and pushed the boundaries of what was possible. It wasn't just about warmth or food, it was about imagination. Fire gave humans the space to dream, to wonder, to plan for futures not yet lived. We have followed sparks across continents, seen how they lit up landscapes, reshaped ecosystems, and carved paths toward civilization. Along the way, We've met hunters bragging by the blaze, children staring wide-eyed into the coals, elders whispering warnings, and whole communities depending on a flicker of light to keep them safe. Now, as you lie here, perhaps you feel the echo of that same warmth, a comfort in the dark, a glow against the unknown. The story of fire is, in a way, the story of you, because without it, none of us would be here. So let the last embers of this tale glow gently in your mind. Imagine sparks drifting upward into the night sky, fading into stars. Imagine the first people settling back to sleep, fire keeping watch. Imagine yourself among them, safe, small, but part of something vast. The flames are steady, the night is quiet. Your story is only just beginning. Sweet dreams.